not only like a control point in mid, but also incredible team fight prowess. Kalista for the pushing bot lane, and then Jojo's Nico.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other side, Ahri against the Quid. You never want to let River have Vi ever, especially if Jojo's going to be going towards an Akali again for the mid lane, which is something he's defaulted to in an Azir-less world. And then the Varus.
And 100 Thieves is the higher seed, so they have side selection in game 1, and they chose blue. That's why they're a blue side, and Cloud9 is red side. For side selection throughout the rest of the series, the loser of each game will get to select sides for that game. So to start things off, we have 100 Thieves locking in the Nautilus, which I think is quite interesting, since that is generally what Vulcan was winning on after the break. When they were playing the Enchanter lanes with Vulcan, they found much less success. So right away, even though it's not the most popular first pick globally, I think it's a good first pick for this series.
Yeah, and we see C9 coming out with the Senna initially. My favorite composition that this C9 team has piloted all year was actually that Nidalee Renekton with the Senna bot lane. And it is really interesting to see Senna show up here. She gives you so much draft flexibility, but there's been an ongoing conversation as we see Tahm Kench locked in for Vulcan, another kind of signature champion for him specifically through his career. The Smolder versus Senna debate, right?
Yeah.
Like, who is better in the bot lane? What is better? And I don't think this game is necessarily going to decide it, but we're going to see it.
Absolutely, and I think it's a bit of a bot lane handshake here where you're just picking a little bit different styles. I will say that Berserker's last Senna game was very poor. He had basically the lowest soul rate of any player I've seen this year at about 20 minutes. So he has had good Senna games in the past. It's not like he cannot play the champion, but they're going back to the well on something that didn't work very well last time.
All right, so we'll keep track of how those both stack up, literally and metaphorically, throughout the game. Worth pointing out, the Aatrox locked in here for 100 Thieves. You expect it to go to Sniper. It is still possibly flexible to mid lane. We did see Quid do it once. It was a very specific counter pick into the Scion mid from Insanity, so let's not pretend like that's going to be something that we're expecting to have with a high probability. But the answer from C9, they want to grab the Taliyah here before the second part of the bans come in.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I really like this pick for Jojo because, again, when we talk about how important Jojo has been to this team, it's not only that his laning is absolutely stellar, but it's when he's able to get out of lane and pay attention to his side waves after pushing in mid. Taliyah is something that has incredible team fight prowess. We have seen her rising in priority in general. And I also think it's a takeaway from Quid because Taliyah has been one of the champions that Quid has looked absolutely dominant on.
And I think it shows a slight difference of draft priority between these two coaches right now, right? Cloud9 take the blind power pick mid Taliyah, and 100 Thieves take the blind power pick top Aatrox. And now we're also expending bans on Fudge to make sure Sniper is in a comfortable spot. In terms of players that are taking momentum into playoffs, Sniper is probably taking more momentum than any player. Only 17, leads the league in solo kills, 1 player of the week, and now getting some draft protection from his team.
And both teams are playing that draft protection game. It's the Yone and the Karma banned out from matching up against the Taliyah there in mid. It is the Renekton taken away from Fudge. I say taken away, but I feel like there might just be some happiness in Fudge from not having to go to Renekton jail here for game number 1. Jax also banned out as C9 will lock in the Lee Sin very quickly for Blaber.
And I think they're really trying to secure a stronger 2v2. Even though Taliyah and Lee Sin are both blind picks because mid and jungle hasn't been seen by 100 Thieves, it's very hard to find 2 champions that would actually be stronger to 2v2. Because I think for Cloud9, they're saying if River and Quid run the game, they'll be able to win it. But if they can run the game with Jojo and Blaber, they'll take it. This is fascinating here, though, with this Zhao to have some power for River.
Yeah, and Hwei also locked in for Quid. Again, this composition is going to do a great amount of damage with the Smolder already, but Hwei... Oh, TF top.
Okay, TF top. Fudge willing to slam this one in game number 1 up against Sniper's Aatrox. How do you guys feel about this head-to-head here?
I think it's really interesting because previously, I think when we've talked about Fudge, we talked about the Nidalee Renekton game, but we've also talked about him on something like Udyr, right? Where it's less of a power pick in terms of I'm going to solo kill you or I'm going to be looking for kills in top lane as opposed to I'm going to push out, I'm going to dirty farm, I'm going to use all of my pressure to take over the top side of the map. The TF is really different, but very fun.
This is a very one-directional team comp, I'd say, from both sides. You can pick globals. Like, a lot of times, TF mid gives your team map pressure towards side lanes, or Taliyah mid gives your team map pressure towards side lanes. They now have 2 solo laners whose ultimate is devoted to moving, not to team fighting. So we have an even bigger disparity in the team composition's power, where 100 Thieves, if they can group up and make it a control game, big advantage. If Cloud9 can blow open early games, 100 Thieves will not be able to touch side lanes. So there's a very big disparity in the way these 2 team compositions are powerful.
Yeah, and that's where I think we really need to look at these teams' objective control too, because I think where C9 can take advantage of 100 Thieves, as much as we've talked about how smart River's early game pathing has been in terms of getting his lanes ahead, it is around those objectives, and Senna is so great if you end up doing that swap and then keeping her top side for grubs, depending on how these 2 junglers' early pathing goes.
All right, let's rock and roll. Game number 1 in this best of 5 between C9 and 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves kind of surprising everybody in a good way throughout this split so far. C9, some surprises of their own, but mostly it's people wondering, hey, where's this super team that we were promised? Regular season can only tell you so much, though. Best of 1s, it's shorter because we have fewer teams overall. Now it's kind of time for us to jump in there and see who's the real deal.
Golden Glue, the 100 Thieves coach, you can see his tweet right there. Playoffs, right? That, to your point, is absolutely what matters. And I want to go a little bit big picture, since we're right at the start of this series here, and talk about the 100 Thieves fraud narrative or the Cloud9 super team narrative.
Okay.
And how I'm going to first address 100 Thieves.
Okay.
I do think that being second place in the regular season is very hard. That's not something you can just coin flip your way to, best or ones or not. It's very hard. However, it pales in comparison to playoff accomplishments. So, yes, 100 Thieves is 10-4. They won 2 more regular season games than Cloud9. But I think the reason Cloud9 still has this belief from a lot of the Cloud9 fans is individually, the Cloud9 players have 13 LCS titles and 4 MVPs. The 100 Thieves players have 0 and 0, but 2 more regular season games. So, there is a huge resume difference between these 2 teams, but if 100 Thieves actually take down Cloud9 here in that best of 5, that's where they can really get to prove themselves.
Yeah, and I think when we're talking about the definition of fraud, can I just say, like, 100 Thieves have won too many regular season games, guys. Like, they're not fraudulent in that they are promising something that they're not delivering on, right?
So,
sorry, that's been bothering me, you know?
No, it's all good. That's what it's the early games.
If you're promising something that you're not delivering, it's actually more accurate for Cloud9 so far.
Because of the super team. Okay, yeah, there you go.
8 of 14 games.
See, these are the conversations that you have during the early game. Everybody's just farming their minions. Everything's nice and slow-paced here. Jojo and Quid will just keep trading back and forth ever so slightly. Biggest difference you can see across the board in terms of farm right now is the top lane, but both junglers hanging around the mid. Nice seismic shove coming out, and Quid is dead. It's first blood over to Jojo.
And that is exactly why Cloud9 picked the Lee Sin Taliyah. They wanted to win the 2v2 there, and they catch Quid with the skill shot. Both junglers knew that was a big deal. Both junglers knew that wave needed to crash. Jojo and Blaber are the ones who executed, and it's a massive kill.
Oh,
in chat, yeah, Jojo just typed regular season matters. Good job.
That's what I want to see in the all chat. Jojo getting in there, talking his smack. Let's see it here again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, again, to Jatt's point, this is exactly why you pick it, right? You want to get ahead early. As soon as Jojo gets that flick, Blaber is in there. Quid goes down. That sets up this mid lane so well for Jojo.
And I really liked, too, how Blaber marks his opponent with the Sonic Wave, but then flashes for Tempest Cripple, knowing that Quid's going to try to flash away to escape anyway, so that he saves the resonating strike damage for maximum execute to guarantee the kill.
Yeah, and also just in terms of the mid-jungle 2v2, the Hwei is not a weak early game champion. I think that's something I believed was true of the pick early on, but I've talked to enough mid laners to know you can actually win a lot of these lanes early, so getting that kill and burning the flash almost ensures now that the Taliyah is going to be able to have push. And if you look around the map, the Twisted Fate is pushing in the Aatrox. It's melee versus range. He's going to be able to do that. The bottom lane also able to get priority because they're just stronger 2v2 with the Senna TK versus the Smolder Nautilus, so it puts River and 100 Thieves in an extremely vulnerable early game position here because all 3 of their lanes are are in danger of being pushed in, and that allows Blaber to go wherever he wants.
So as we're looking at our tri-lane view here, and you mentioned how top lane is going to be that range versus melee matchup, it can be kind of suffocating to play into something like the TF. I actually want to take a look. We have a comparison between Sniper and Fudge in both of their first splits, because I think both of these guys have had similar kind of stories being told about them where they're willing to kind of flex. They're willing to be the guy who wants to be the carry, but they can also sometimes play it a little bit too hard, get a little bit too hyphy about it, and you can see there's your comparison right there. KDA was higher for Fudge. Solo kill for Sniper, though. This kid is the solo kill king, man.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that I really like about Sniper and has kind of defined his entry into the LCS has definitely been how willing he is to go for the 1v1, like even sacrificing his lane at times to be able to as
Quid?
I think he's dead.
Oh!
Yep.
Jojopyun with the solo kill in mid lane. Make it a 2-0 Taliyah 5.5 minutes into the game.
All right, forget about top lane. C9, not only did they get that solo kill in mid, but Blaber had started up this early Drake, so they'll have prio on Drake stacking as well. C9 are absolutely dominating this early game.
Yeah, Jojo continues his all chat regular season team Jatt right after that second solo kill. So I actually would believe that 100 Thieves has him muted. You never know whether or not he's been in their head or not, but this speaks to the regular season early game dominance and regular season early game weakness of 100 Thieves and C9, but it's actually just amplified right now. They got the flash off of Quid. He lands yet another seismic shove, and because he's cleared the minion wave with Fade Rush, Quid is actually just completely caught out. That's a situation where Quid needs to let that entire wave crash. He needs to let Jojo hit level 6 and be a little bit more passive. I think they were trying to set up a gank with River, but he just got caught by the skill shot once again, and it goes from bad to worse for Quid.
Yeah, and in terms of objectives, it looks like we might see a little scrap around Grub.
Hold on, Blaber, he's about to die to the spiraling despair, and it's Quid picking it up. Now Jojo's under pressure, and River and Sniper are both looking to take him down. Severing bolt over the wall, won't find the target, and a nice little sidestep from Jojo prevents it from becoming an even greater tragedy. But 100 Thieves needed to find that pick there. Nicely done.
Yeah, that's such an important contest for them too, because like I said, it also stops this kind of grub stacking that you can do with Senna and then do that kind of lane swap with her. That's one of her flexibilities as we're fighting in bot lane now too.
Nicely done. There we go, Eyla finding the dredge line on Vulcan, locking him down underneath the turret, back up in the top side. This could turn into a 2v2 very quickly. Already one grub for 100 Thieves, looking to grab this second one. Blaber wants to contest it. He'll walk up, he smites at the very end of the health bar just to guarantee that he can secure it away. Just anything to make sure they don't get all three.
No 6 grubs for either team. Still a 1.3 thousand gold lead for Cloud9, but that type of recovery is very necessary for 100 Thieves. They don't need to win early game to win this game. They need to survive early game to win this game, and getting that kill and that grub is big. If they can go for the flashless Jojo, it's huge.
Oh, Jojo, man. One more hit from that 3-talent strike would knock him up, but River doesn't have enough to guarantee the CC. Now Sniper's gonna get ganked by Blaber. Topside's not looking good for the 100 Thieves, as Sniper can't fight his way out of this one, and Fudge is on the board.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about combined kills per minute going into this game, right? And Blaber has been everywhere on this map, which is really interesting, again, considering how they drafted. I was thinking, like, okay, maybe they'll do like a Blaber carry comp, you know, with they take the Zhao, they take a Kindred or something. They play for him like he's Milky Way. But I love seeing this out of Blaber too, because again, his understanding of where he needs to be on the map, how he can combine, where he needs to shut 100 Thieves down in their solo lanes, because this is a team that primarily plays through those solos.
They absolutely do, and I think last week was a huge showing of that for 100 Thieves, where Sniper was just able to generate a lot of solo kills on his own. That's not something that is likely to happen this game. The fact that he's already 17 CS down, has been killed by the Twisted Fate and the Lee Sin, and has generally been under his turret for most of the game. You add on top of that, that River hasn't really had any freedom to move to top lane because he's needed to take care of the Hwei in the mid lane thanks to the pressure Blaber has been giving, and it just limits the ways in which 100 Thieves can win this game. 2,100 gold, now the difference at 9 minutes.
So we know that Cloud9 looks their best when they are smashing the early game. And right now, 9 minutes into the game, 2,000 gold ahead, 1 Drake plus the extra kills, even grub state, like you said. So it's not like there's this inevitability with split pushing later on or something. Combine that with the fact that even if they did want to split push with grubs, you've got Taliyah and Twisted Fate to catch guys out. C9's early game seems to be going their way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a really interesting year for Cloud9 because I'd say we had the offseason hype of them being a super team and asking, will they ever lose? Then they went on this 4-game losing streak. But I'd say their general play style stayed fairly consistent throughout. They were trying to snowball early games, and then it was whether or not they could actually turn that win lane into a win game, but they've generally lacked cohesion. So I'd say this is a slightly larger early game lead that they've had for most of the split, but I think it's still yet to be seen if they can pilot this team composition to victory cleanly.
That's actually why I kind of really like the grub contest as we see River kind of polish off that last one, is that I think where C9 have had problems with, say, like a Lucian lane, right? It's kind of transferring that pressure and making the most of it in the mid game around the map.
Nice, Quid going in, and Ayla's ready to follow up right behind him for the lockdown. Spiraling Despair gets it done. 100 Thieves playing aggressively with the Hwei flash to find the Jojo kill.
And that actually evens the mid lane, if you can believe it. The 2-0 Jojo had an extra 150 gold bounty. The wave got caught by Quid afterwards. He's actually ahead of the Taliyah in gold now after that disastrous die to level 3 gank, get solo killed at level 5 start.
Yeah, and this is great for 100 Thieves mid lane, especially if they can get the next set of grubs. As I see, Blaber is now down, getting that second Drake, which is actually, again, great objective control from C9.
And I like the fact that we're bringing up, hey, mid lane's actually pretty even. It's slightly 100 Thieves favored because the game itself is still over 1,500 gold favoring C9. And it's because when you look at these side lanes, 100 farm versus 78, 97 versus 82, comparing the Tahm Kench over to the Smolder, Cloud9 side lanes are still farming better, and 100 Thieves is going to either have to stop that or make up for it somewhere else with another big play.
Yeah, and the thing that they've done really well, again, is use that Drake, that bot lane pressure to transfer into early Drake stacking, right? Because even if you're looking at, oh, we're kind of afraid of the scaling on Smolder, we're afraid of the mid-game damage that this Hwei is going to be able to do, they bridge that by stacking these Drakes early, right? Because Senna can actually be a monster late game as well. And if they can, again, spread that pressure around the map, which is what I'm going to be seeing from C9, right? Because it's not like they don't get early leads. It's that, what are they going to do with that early lead?
And I think the player that will need to do the most with his lead is who we have on screen right now, Fudge's TF. He has Static Shiv, so he can push waves even faster, and he has a global. Not to mention, he has a 1,200 gold lead on Sniper. And we brought up that graphic earlier about Sniper's very successful rookie split, and Fudge's rookie split, which in retrospect is surprisingly successful because when he first came in the league, a lot of people thought he was bad, but within that same split, he actually won the LCS title. So he would know that you need to respect younger top laners, and he's really putting it to Sniper early game here.
Blaber trying to, again, maintain control over neutral territory here, stepping up with Jojo. There's Fudge! That's the global you guys are talking about. C9 with the 3-man play to pick off River.
Yeah, I love as soon as Jatt called out, okay, you know, Fudge, here was his first year into the LCS. What is he going to do with this lead? That first TF ult coming in.
And Sniper.
Yeah, Sniper making his teleport entrance to the fight as Eyla and Meech deal with Vulcan, and Sniper forces Berserker to flash away to make his exit. Eyla dies to the Dawning Shadow. C9 are not just going to take this one lightly. Vulcan's still with that thick skin ready to go. He might just be able to escape. He survives the Comet. An absolute failure from 100 Thieves in the bottom lane. C9 outplays him and slays him.
We're pretty close to going next after that situation because they use the Twisted Fate ultimate to get a kill in the river. Then they use the Senna ultimate and their own damn wit to win the 2v3 in the bottom lane. That just goes from bad to worse for 100 Thieves because they get 3v1 ganked and then they do their own 3v2 gank but lose both sides. What a sequence by C9.
Yeah, and now Sniper's going to have to walk back to this lane. He's not going to be able to catch most or some of this wave up topside, and another plate goes to Fudge as we see the bot lane play again.
Yeah, and this, I really did like the start of it for 100 Thieves, but it's a little bit of greed here where they're trying to get both, and they get none. Sniper just straight up goes to Berserker, wants to get the solo kill. I don't think Sniper's flash is quite up yet. I'd say Berserker timed his root and his flash very well, but if Sniper just immediately goes for Vulcan, they can potentially burst him before Eyla even goes down, and then Vulcan wouldn't even bother expending his flash because he'd be dead anyway. But because he got the kill, he limits the CC, he saves his flash until Sniper has used his spells, and it's just expertly done by both Berserker and Vulcan, but it all does stem from 100 Thieves feeling a bit of pressure and not wanting to take the one sure kill, going for 2 and getting 0.
Yeah, and it's so important, again, also just for that top side matchup, right? Because it continues to widen the gap that Fudge has over here, especially since his first play worked out so well. As we see them turning on to Rift Herald, I am curious if C9
should fight this.
Yeah, they should be able to very easily.
100 Thieves have 4 players already in the river. Sniper could rotate over, but remember there's no teleport for him to try to get a superior angle if that's what he wants.
Nope.
Herald down to 2,000 HP already, still. One more proc on the eye. Herald slain by River and 100 Thieves. C9 are not going to contest.
Interesting choice there. Jojo did have teleport, but he'd rather take the solo turret gold for himself, and they're betting that 100 Thieves isn't able to make good use of that Rift Herald. Objective bounties were not up yet, so it's not like a Giga Herald, which just boosts you an extra 500 gold. And yes, it does give a small window if 100 Thieves can get a pick, but at the moment, I think C9 is thinking if we just hold this lane pressure, let's let 100 Thieves invest 5 people. We're going to get the bot lane and the top lane pushed. They think they can make more plays off of this. They did kill the bot turret, and you can see the top turret is 1 gank away from falling as well.
So if you guys are calling the shots right now for 100 Thieves, this game state is pretty dire. You're 4,000 gold down. They've got both of the Drakes. What do you do to just try to hold on in this game? Is it just start praying and hope that Smolder hits 225 really fast?
Yes. I mean, Smolder is always a win condition, right? Like, even with the nerfs that came through on the hotfix, I think Smolder is still remarkably strong. As we see what they're going to do with this mid lane scrap.
Yeah, I think as well, Flowers, what they're going to do is they're actually going to try and fight this dragon. Because they're getting picked off so much, they can't control river vision because of the multiple globals, but they use this window, they push bot lane, means they get first setup on river, and this is the one fight where they don't think they can get flanked from behind. So they can control the fight lines, maybe get a 5v5, they look at the items, they're not that far behind in items right now. If they secure this dragon, they can guarantee themselves an extra 4 minutes, so they're going all in right now.
Sniper walking over through mid lane. He's going to at least answer the wave that C9 is trying to crash in there, but Blaber is still hanging around to at least make River and the 100 Thieves sweat as they try to approach this Drake. It's still down to about half HP, but C9 has moved in. C9's got control over the Drake pit now as River jumps in, and the dragon is secured by 100 Thieves. Mom comes in over the top, but River's been kicked back into C9. Blaber dies to do it, and River stays alive to the dawning shadow. Sniper with a flash back over the wall makes his exit, but now what about the rest of the Thieves? Dredgeline won't hit Fudge, but he can't get in range for a gold card. There, okay. All right, I was worried for a second. I thought we might get another re-engage, but we're good. Listen,
perfectly done by 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
They had no risk of getting flanked by the Twisted Fate or Taliyah. They got the Smite steal, and then they also didn't even lose the fight. The extra reason I think this was good is because if they do actually get aced, they're not giving up Baron or anything. This is why I think it's better to fight this Drake than the Soul Point. But Emily, take it away.
Yeah, so, I mean, we see the Taliyah wall go down, River goes in, ends up getting the Smite steal, which is obviously really important to get that Drake. But I think even more important, like you said, is the fight that ensues where they're able to get a 1-for-0 on the backside here.
And if you look at the way C9 actually needs to approach these fights... Oh, we almost had audio there. I wanted to see what he was saying.
Yeah,
Clearly, Golden Glue is pumped about that one because that's exactly how they need to fight. Cloud9 does not have good, straightforward, or as CoreJJ used to say, eye contact fights where it's front to back. The best tank is Tahm Kench, but he's kind of peeling anyway. Their 2 solo laners are weirdly mid-range, and then maybe you have Blaber trying to fly in for a kickback, but he could get Hwei feared, which by the way just interrupts all dashes because it does a little knockdown effect as well, so you just get interrupted in midair. And way better frontline engage from the Nautilus. So yes, it is 4,000 gold difference, but the amount of time that 100 Thieves bought themselves there is massive. Like, I feel like they turned an 80-20 game into like a 65-35 game. They're still not up the mountain yet, but they've started to come back.
All right, 100 Thieves trying to put that Herald to good use up here in the top lane, looking for the tier 1. A TP coming in from Cloud9 to stop them from being able to finish the job. The turret still stands with about half HP. This is kind of the problem of having that Aatrox to TF matchup. Aatrox never got to the point where he could do any meaningful work on the turret up until this point, so you've got a long, long way to go before you can get rid of that. Still a 4,500 gold lead here for C9. Meech at half HP here in mid lane. Worth pointing out, 160 stacks here at 19 minutes on the Smolder, so probably, again, sort of around that 23, 24-minute mark that appears to be most common for Smolder in the LCS. We'll see him get online with the 225, and that's when you can start feeling a lot stronger in these fights, I think.
Yeah, right now I think we're on hashtag Smolder watch for 100 Thieves, but then additionally for C9, where I really want to see them shine now is in spreading 100 Thieves on the map so that they have complete side lane control, right? Because you have a Taliyah, you have a Twisted Fate, you should be able to completely control where you're applying map pressure so you can avoid those front-to-back team fights where 100 Thieves should be able to beat you. And
I think the way they can manifest that is in the rivers. So when 100 Thieves is trying to get control of the bot or the top river, I think that's the best place to strike, because in theory, that's where you could have the TF and the Taliyah joining kind of at the same time to get a pure numbers advantage. So situations like this, and this is where 100 Thieves has to be very careful, when Sniper is showing on this wave, other people can't show. Because if you show too many people at once, Cloud9 can guarantee their numbers advantage. So they did it really well there. He was showing, Smolder went to Raptors, now he's not showing, now they can show in the bot and the mid lane.
Also, want to point out, since we're talking about Cloud9's ability to set up these picks, make these plays, second fully completed item for Fudge is the rapid-fire cannon. Not the highest DPS option, but so good for playmaking. Jojo flashing away from the Severing Bolt as River needed a little bit more distance to catch up to him there. The phase rush doing so much work to get Taliyah away from the pursuing Zhao.
Yeah, and then as we see Fudge continuing to push out this topside wave, I do really like how C9 have tried to set this up. Invading on this top side now, really making sure that Fudge has coverage, and they're actually TPing in for this. So they'll probably set this up with a Taliyah wall to take down this turret.
Yeah, they're kind of trading gold there, though. Like, 100 Thieves is going to clear the wave as best they can, and if Quid is able to get that bot lane turret, this is a fairly neutral trade for 100 Thieves. I think it's still... okay, fairly neutral. Slightly favored for Cloud9 because it's a second-tier turret and it's better Baron control, but like gold-wise, it really doesn't move the gap by that much.
Yeah, we've been sitting at this 4,500 gold mark for what feels like, 5-6 minutes now. C9 trying to snowball the lead even further. Seismic Shove does not connect on River, but it's all about the minion wave. Just get it shoved up, be ready to answer into that tier 1 turret. But here comes 100 Thieves. Eyla ain't gonna find the dredge line, but River's here in the front with a crescent sweep as soon as the fight starts. That's a huge kill on Quid. Cloud9 ends this one before it really gets going.
Blaber does it, and now they're gonna turn for Baron. I don't know if they actually had eyes on that TP, but they made the right engage and they struck before 100 Thieves can make the flank happen. The hook missed, Blaber's kick landed, and they're going straight for this Baron, but 4v5, and 100 Thieves doesn't want to give it up.
100 Thieves are thinking about it. Still not enough stacks on Smolder for the execute. Eyla goes in, finds the dredge line this time. Fudge having to flash away, and now Sniper's about to get bursted down. Vulcan versus River, but River is very low. Berserker has got the kill on Sniper, and the Baron's not going to be low enough to steal as River tries to get himself away, but it's a double kill back over to the Senna, and Berserker is popping off. 100 Thieves are falling down, and Cloud9 is running the show.
Yeah, that was so good from C9. Again, we have talked about where you could potentially beat 100 Thieves with their experience, right? And it's in these objective setups. So it starts with this team fight in mid. Obviously, Sniper wants to come through with the TP, but he is too far away. And so as soon as they're able, Blaber's able to get that kick onto Quid, he evaporates. And then the fight's over, right? Because 100 Thieves can't contest this. Sniper already knows that, so he goes back up. And then they try to contest this, but it doesn't work out.
So one important thing about this replay as well that you all were not able to observe, as soon as Baron was slain, Jojo types second place team so good. but he's clearly typing with such speed and passion that half of the words are misspelled. So he's really getting into the emotions of the mid-game here as Cloud9 now commands an absolutely remarkable lead. 7,500 gold. They're on Soul Point now, and they're forcing down the tier 2 in bottom lane.
And I'm actually expecting 100 Thieves to not take this lightly. I think they know with the Soul Point that they're in relatively dire situations. If they can find a flank engage or see any window, I think they're going to go for it. Like this whole year, 100 Thieves has not let themselves get starved out. In fact, one of their wins against Cloud9, they were also down about 8,000 gold. That was a game where Berserker Zeri had a pentakill, and there was a crazy fight when they had Baron and they took them out. So 100 Thieves, like, you always have to be ready for them to strike, even if this game feels one for Cloud9.
And we are just about to reach 225 for Meech. We're almost there. He just got it. All right. So we'll see if it's smoldering time for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, about average 225 stack time for Meech. It's 2 minutes faster than the last time he played Smolder, which I'd say is pretty impressive in a game where they've been this losing, right? They haven't been able to initiate their own skirmishes. They haven't been first onto waves. So Meech has done a pretty good job of getting the stacks. What he doesn't have is items. Stacks are one thing, but you need your Q to, your super true damage Q to actually do some damage. He doesn't even have a second complete item yet.
Yeah, and then you look over across the other side. Fudge now with the Stormrazor completed for the Twisted Fate top deck build. The first card off the top of the deck just goes kaboom. It's not exactly the best thing to be on the receiving end of, but it's a great tool for helping set up these plays for C9. You've also got another item completed with the opportunity on Berserker Senna. 3-0-1. He's got 111 souls of his own. C9's wallet advantage is huge. 100 Thieves are not going to get a whole lot more chances to not come out on top in a fight.
If C9 group up too much, they can get Hwei, but otherwise they're in good spot.
River here on the start, immediately had to pop the ulti. He was almost burst down. The fear on Jojo forces him back now as well. 100 Thieves still looking to chase after him. Meech and the rest of the Thieves dig in and defend. They force C9 back enough to at least remove the pressure for now.
Yeah, and I mean, Quid is still in a weirdly good spot, because he's been given all of the side lane farm, right?
Yeah.
Like, he got that bot side turret, he ended up getting top side turret, so he's not in a bad spot in relation to, as we see, Sniper is going to get caught out top side.
I want to talk about bad spots.
Yeah, it's this guy.
That's a bad spot.
Unlucky.
Yeah. It's a bad game for him, too. He is 4,500 gold down against the Twisted Fate. 0-3-0, so absolutely zero kill participation after having his best week ever as an LCS player. So he reached his peak, and at the moment, he's feeling it. It'll be really interesting to see how he will respond to this in Game 2 as a 17-year-old rookie. He's got so much confidence inherently, but to get knocked down like this against a player in Fudge who had a very off split, but is extremely accomplished. So Fudge has been in so many high-pressure MSI Worlds, LCS Finals level experiences, whereas Sniper here is in his very first playoff game and, at least for now, has fallen flat on his face in Game 1. So he will have to bounce back as the series progresses.
Yeah, and looking ahead, I mean, we look at the other side where Fudge locked in this counterpick Twisted Fate top, right? And we're like, okay, how is this going to go? Because outside of, again, stuff like the Udyr, or even the Renekton, where he just takes complete control over the actual waves in topside and plays with pressure that way, he hasn't had like a particularly stellar standout like carry split, right? So him being able to lock in this counter pick going forward tells 100 Thieves, okay, now this is another facet of C9 we weren't sure that we had to worry about. We now have to worry about it.
And I would say, compared to the regular season or even the last week version of Cloud9 we've seen, this has been a more decisive team. They had the early game lead, but the instant we said, okay, Fudge needs to do something with this gold lead, bam, he killed River. Oh, this Berserker Vulcan bot lane hasn't been performing. Berserker hasn't been able to get stacks on Senna. They win a 2v3, 126 stacks at 27 minutes. Still not great, but it's actually decent with the way he's played this game, 3-0-1. Now, 47 seconds away from a potential Infernal Soul. Very difficult for 100 Thieves to make an approach. Cloud9 want to close the door on this Game 1.
And turn your eyes to the top left part of your screen too. That timer for that Drake is going to almost perfectly line up with the timer for Baron as well. Having both of these buffs active on the map at the same time always feels hugely favorable for the team that's sitting on Soul Point, because it's so easy to pull your opponents back and forth, make them make bad decisions. 100 Thieves are going to have to be clean with the execution if they want to keep surviving in this game number 1. Eyla getting away there. C9 moving up. They wanted to see if there was an angle for Fudge, but not quite. Nothing hits over the wall. Sonic Wave and Seismic Shove both going wide as the poke gets thrown back and forth between both sides. Berserker, look, it just takes a quarter of River's health in one shot. C9 falling back now yet again as 100 Thieves brings Sniper back into the fight there with his Unleashed TP. Dawning Shadow nearly kills Meech. Dredgeline goes back in, but I don't even know if Eyla wanted it. They try to put the burst on C9. The Spiraling Despair on Blaber ain't gonna kill him, but it takes him low. Sniper and Eyla even lower. Meech also at 20%. C9 makes their way over to Drake. They've still got control.
And with that 10,000 gold lead, they were actually able to win an eye contact 5v5. That's kind of the break point they needed to hit in this game. Because if they can win a mid lane ARAM with this comp, as well as completely dominate side lanes, there's not many ways for 100 Thieves to win the game.
Yeah, and that's Infernal Soul down for them. They also have incredible vision control as, you know, the last-ditch effort from 100 Thieves. River is going to try to clear out some of this vision around Baron, but they have complete control of the map too, right? So wherever 100 Thieves are trying to fight them, they have to ensure that their setup is so good and so clean, and their team fight targeting is so clean that they end up beating the advantages. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I think 100 Thieves is about to flip something. Okay. That's the way this is feeling.
Might as well.
I think they are at the Baron pit, so they would like to get Cloud9 there as well, and they want to fight them. I think that's their best 10% chance way of winning this game.
You think it's as high as 10?
5, 10. Once you're that low,
it's a legitimate question.
No,
you're
down
right.
I need to
so
think about
much.
it.
You're down 10,000 gold. You're down an Infernal Soul. Your opponents have total control over everything. Item advantages pretty much everywhere.
I'll put it at 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it at 5.
That's not bad.
If you're in solo queue, it would be like 15. But if it's a playoff game, it's 95% C9 win.
Spiraling Despair on Fudge. Quid still getting jumped on, though. He's trying to get away. He escapes and just barely survives thanks to Eyla and the shield. Mob comes in over the top, but Sniper's already in the dirt. River tries to flash over the wall. Crescent Guard to knock a target back away. Fudge is still going to just kite him out, and Vulcan gets the kill. C9 pick up 2, almost 3. Any dreams the Thieves might have had of fighting for this Baron are dashed.
Yeah, and there you see exactly what we're talking about, right? Like C9, with the control they have over the map, with the advantages they have, they can just wait for a play like that. And even when 100 Thieves try to respond, like Sniper in particular, he's supposed to be kind of this front line for this team, and he is dying before he can even zone anyone off.
Yeah, he has less gold than Vulcan. He is the poorest player, like, other than Eyla in this game. Sniper is so far behind right now. Okay, other than Eyla and River. Everyone on 100 Thieves is behind. Yeah. Cloud9's really rich. That's the point.
And when you look at champions that want to be on the front line, that want to be soaking damage, you have a traditional tank who's just a giant brick wall, or you have a drain tank. And when you're behind, playing a drain tank feels awful because you will die before you can do any of the draining that makes you tanky. He's got 2 lethality items. It's not like this guy is building defensive. This is not something where he can just go in and soak all that burst, and C9 knows it. There's pretty much no bad target you can select on 100 Thieves because the damage is so high, they'll burst anybody down. Now they've got the full 5-man squad pushing down top lane. Baron-empowered minions, so Hwei can't just clear them away with a Magma Fissure. Jojo throws out the Weaver's Wall. 100 Thieves still trying to defend. River's over in mid, wanted to clear that wave out, so Cloud9 can't just bounce back and forth between the two and apply even more pressure, but C9 keeping it on.
I will say the Hwei Smolder wave clear is pretty immense, but now Cloud9 finally gets to take a few shots.
Jojo gets hit by the Snot Bubble, but not a whole lot more going to follow that one up. Dredgeline wanted to go in, but not quite going to find the hit. That means the tier 3 turret falls here in the top lane. Inhibitor is your next target. C9 not stopping anytime soon. Berserker using the heals to make sure that Jojo doesn't get too low. They want to keep this going. Backing up now because they don't have a wave ready to go in mid. That was already cleared out. Bottom lane's also not ready to crash, so C9's going to regroup, reset. They've still got another 75 seconds on this Baron.
Yeah, and even you see there, even if they're not going for the fight, they still have the tools to be able to zone all of 100 Thieves off of these inhibitors, right? Yeah.
I will say, as far as 14,000 gold leads go, this is one of the weaker 14,000 gold leads I've seen. Does that make sense?
How many 14,000 gold leads have you seen?
Exactly, because
in your entire lifetime, Jatt.
Usually the game is over before it gets to 14,000.
Okay.
So the point is that with the TF Taliyah, the 14,000 gold lead, you still need to be a little creative to end this game because they don't have true tanks, they don't have great engages. Again, they're still probably going to win, but I'm saying there's a chance with the way 100 Thieves, like they only lost one inhibitor down Soul Baron with a 14,000 gold deficit.
Did you hear the guy in the audience who just yelled, ow? Because 2 shots from Senna
River just
took
lost?
half of River's health?
14,000 gold hurts. No one's denying this.
All right, Weaver's Wall's coming in. Jojo and the rest of C9 ready to block 100 Thieves away from the Tier 3 turret in bottom lane. They got 10 seconds left on Baron, but that's plenty of time. Inhibitor now under pressure here as C9 will just continue whittling it away. Berserker's got the range to keep poking on the thing. Dredgeline hits a minion. Eyla hits the ground. C9's got a 5v4. The inhibitor's still in their sights. Fudge looking maybe for an angle here with the ulti. Mom comes in. Blaber's burning, but he ain't low enough just yet. Meech trying to stay away from the unraveled earth as River wants an entry point, using the ulti to knock Blaber back into the rest of the team, but now Meech is dead. Fudge has him locked up, beaten down. C9 should just walk it in for the win. 4 players still alive in the enemy base as Quid tries to survive, but he'll die on the steps of his own base. Sniper is stuck back in the fountain. C9 are running the show. Game number 1. They made this look one-sided. They'll take down 100 Thieves.
Yeah, statement game 1 victory from C9, especially, again, in that final team fight you saw. Fudge understood the assignment, right?
Yeah.
He's like, their win condition is Smolder. I need to get on this dragon as soon as possible. I think this is a great victory for C9, not only because of execution, but again, the draft they locked in, they knew exactly how they wanted to pilot it. Blaber got involved early. We didn't see any of the early pathing shenanigans that we usually see from River to be able to help out his lanes, and it really started with that mid-jungle synergy that we've wanted to see from Blaber and Jojo all year.